Shalom. The window behind me is where our ark used to stand. It's kind of the eastern wall. In fact, where our ark will be, it will be much more on the eastern wall. But above this window will be a quote that's from the prayer book that says, Or Chadash al Tzion, a new light shall shine upon Zion. To remember that when we come into this sacred space to worship, that our hearts and our minds should be towards that holy city of Jerusalem, which is why Jews have always faced Jerusalem when they pray since the destruction of the Second Temple. It was that temple in Jerusalem where we went to offer up the prayers of our hearts, to make sacrifices to God, and to bring us closer to the divine presence. And the notion of building a tabernacle, building a sacred space for God to dwell, comes from this week's Torah portion from T'rumah. I realized we didn't put out a video last week. We had lots of illness and things like that going around in our home. It was Mishpatim, where building off of the Ten Commandments, we have many, many, many more laws of both an ethical and a ritual nature. But this week we reach T'rumah. And T'rumah means gifts, not just presents, but literally gifts that come from the heart. Because in it, God says to Moses, tell the Israelite people to bring me T'rumah, to bring me gifts from their heart, so that they might build me a mishkan, so they might build me a sacred space. And then it says, Asuli mikdash v'shachanti betocham, build me a mikdash, a holy space, so that I might dwell among you. The Torah portion goes on to detail all the specific items that Moses is looking for. The dolphin skins, the ram's cloths, the copper to make loops, all the various wools that are needed to be able to build this sacred space where the Israelites could be able to both worship around and commune around in the wilderness. All of it is in very, very specific detail. And anybody knows if they've ever renovated a home or built a new home or built a new sanctuary, you have very, very specific plans that one must look at. Our architects, having listened to us and what our dreams were for Community Synagogue, they took our words and they put them into plans. And then, of course, the construction workers, and you'll see maybe some of them around us in this video today, who are working diligently to build this sanctuary, this sacred space, to have it ready for us in September. They're following those detailed plans. Well, the Torah gives plans, but in words, and it was up to us to interpret them, to make them become what we wanted them to be, so that God could, as the Torah says, dwell among us. What was the purpose of the Mishkan? Very simple, as the commentators say. Just as God created this world, this olam, for us to be able to live in, so too did we then create a Mishkan, a sacred space, so that God could then come and dwell among us. God said, I built a world for you, now it's your turn to build a world for me. Well, friends, that's what we're doing here at Community Synagogue. We're not just ultimately building a building. We're building a space so that God can come to dwell among us. And that's why when we've made donations and gifts to this Kadima project, we've done it not just for building bricks and mortar, but for building the kind of sacred space so that God can be a part of our community. So that when we come in here and we see the face of a friend, of a family member, or perhaps even a stranger, but we know that we can reach out to them with a sense of love and compassion. We know that we are creating the kind of community that God would want to call home. So friends, I invite you to look around here, really be curious today as you see what we're doing with this wonderful, wonderful project. This place that will become our own mikdash, our own sacred space. Coming up towards the end of this month at Community Synagogue, a number of opportunities to come together as community. First, of course, on February 26th is a very important congregational meeting to decide the future of this physical space, really the future of this congregation. And for you to come and to be able to say, Amen, I agree. And so we invite you to come on February 26th. And of course, after that is Purim. This opportunity in the middle or towards the end of the winter to just lift up our spirits and to once again rejoice. As they say, they tried to kill us, they didn't, let's eat. So we have the Megillah monologues, we have CJL's Got Talent, and then that same evening on the 28th of February, we also have a dinner, Megillah reading and study for anybody who wants to come. Dinner's on us that night. So take a look around, enjoy this beautiful sacred space we've created for you, or we're creating for you, and always remember to come here to feel that warmth and that sense of holiness and community. Shabbat Shalom.